Hello friends, and welcome to the Crypto Stacker channel. My name is Dean. If you're watching my videos for the first time, please know I only make them for entertainment and education, as well as community building in the crypto space. Everybody, happy Terrarium Tuesday. There are some huge things coming for Terrarium in the next couple of days that we'll be talking about in today's video, so make sure you stick through to the end. I never ever say this, but if you're not subscribed, please like the video, subscribe. It helps build the community, at least on my channel. And I try as often as I can to give you guys reliable updates on Terrarium and what's going on in the community. So as you can see here over my shoulder, I'm not in my normal studio. I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is probably gonna make people sick, but see if I can get you a view out the window here. Just a beautiful, beautiful location. There's a conference center right across the street, and it's just really cool here. It's a big change of pace from my normal Idaho life. I don't think we have any buildings that are more than 4 or 5 stories. Here we're talking, I'm on the 21st floor and I can't see the top of the building next to us. So pretty cool stuff. Nice to get away, get a little change of scenery. All right, let's talk about Terrarium. Terrarium in the last 24 hours up 3.1%. If we look at over the last 7 days, kind of been a nice, steady, gradual decline. I won't call it nice, but there's been a gradual, steady decline with a little bit of a rebound here in just the last few hours. In the last 7 days, down about 27.8%. Now, I don't know 100% what's causing that decline, especially in light of the fact that we have some pretty big news coming up. So I just want to show you one thing that I think could be associated, and we'll compare what Terrarium's doing to the broader market. Here in the United States, the Federal Reserve is about to make an interest rate adjustment on the federal funds rate, or the rate at which banks borrow money, essentially from each other, or from the Federal Reserve. And then likewise, that increases the interest rates that people will be paying if they borrow money. And the intention is to try to slow down the spending, which slows down the economy and hopefully slows down inflation, which is kind of running away right now in the United States and in other places around the world. But here's an article of the New York Times, and it essentially says that there's been some foreshadowing that the Federal Reserve will most likely raise interest rates by 0.75%, 75 basis points is the way they say it. So there's additional increases projected for the future, and there have been several in the past couple of months as they're trying to slow down the economy and hopefully keep it from overheating and inflation from kind of running out of control. Well, I watched a good video earlier today. I'm going to give credit here to Austin Hilton. He did a good job explaining this. But essentially how this works is if you're watching the stock market, you're watching the crypto market, when things get foreshadowed in the manner that they are right now, it pretty much causes a reaction in the market, which in the last 7 days has been somewhat of a pullback in prices. But also that information kind of gets baked into the cake, or the foreshadowing is already priced into the market. So the market's already made its adjustment to this 0.75 point change. Now, if they end up changing it by more than 0.75 point, that could cause some panic and drive prices down further. If they only reduce the or increase the rate by 0.5 point, it could bolster the markets just a little bit. But they're pretty good at foreshadowing what they're going to do, and generally speaking, I think they pretty much stay with that. But we'll see what happens. So that's what's got people a little bit nervous. And knowing that it's going to slow money down, then we may see, people being a little tighter with what they're doing investment-wise. So Terrarium, again, down about 28% in the last 7 days. If we look at the big players, the blue chip coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, down 9% and 6% in the last 7 days. And as we scroll down the page, pretty much over the last 7 days, all of the crypto players in the top 100, with few exceptions, are down. Some down as much as 17%. A lot of them in that 10 to 12% range. So the market, it's not just Terrarium, and I do think that small cap coins have a tendency to be much more responsive to market information because their market caps are a lot smaller. So a few people acting on that desire to stay ahead of the market can push the price further lower or higher than what would happen in a larger, more stable coin. Now that stable coin, that's actually something that Milton said recently that scared a lot of people, right? Talking about a stable coin. And I think what he was saying is, this is just my interpretation, okay? That Terrarium, as it continues to grow, as we shrink down the total pool of tokens and increase the market cap, that the price of Terrarium becomes more stable, okay? Now, it's not a stable coin, meaning that it's pegged to the dollar, but just more stable. Well, these blue chip ones are the ones that we would consider more stable. That doesn't mean stability like people who are used to in the stock market might see. Okay, we're talking about Bitcoin, which is down 40-50% in the last couple of months. Ethereum definitely down at least 50% in the last several months. So think stability, relatively speaking. That's my interpretation of it. I don't think Terrarium has an intention to create a stable coin. They may. I haven't heard anything about that from any source. But when he said that the other day, I think that's what he was saying was more, Terrarium's going to be a more stable project. It's going to have longevity. It's going to have staying power. That's the way I interpreted that. If you guys see it differently, let me know in the comments and I'll do some more research. All right, let's jump in and see what's going on in the Terrarium community. The two major things that are being talked about right now, the 20 quad burn, I'm rounding up. That's happening in 3 days. So in 3 days, 43% of the potential circulating supply are going to be gone. They'll be in the dead wallet and they won't be coming back. So that's a big deal. That's a huge burn. It's the biggest one I've ever seen in terms of percentage, aside from the initial burns that a lot of projects, including Terrarium, do when they launch. They launch with the 100 quad, immediately burn 50% of the supply. That was a very common strategy around the end of last year, the beginning of 2022. All right, the other one that there's a lot of discussion about is Dubai coming online. Now, when Terrarium started their business, they intended to get licensed in 3 countries, the United States, India, and Dubai. The first 2 they had done fairly early on. I mean, really, we're still only 5 months into this project, but Dubai, we learned recently that the licensing was going through. And now I'm sure they're taking whatever additional regulatory steps that they need to take to make trading of Terrarium legal in Dubai. And Dubai is a place with lots of money and people who are progressive and forward thinking when it comes to finance. So that's an excellent place. And I know that they've talked about getting licensed now in additional countries, which is exactly what you would do, right? They set goals, they've achieved those goals. Now you set new goals and you look to push forward. So I'm looking forward to see where they go next. I heard Singapore in the last AMA as a potential. All right. Another tweet that came out yesterday from Dr. Praveen Budiga. He is a senior advisor for the Terrarium team. And he basically is just giving props to the development team, to Milton, Dr. Ramana, for putting out there some options for the community, getting feedback from the community, and then acting on it immediately. I mean, this happened just like that. It was pretty impressive. I think that it bodes well for the development team as well. When they talk about doing things and then get them done, so this burn, for instance, if this burn doesn't happen on the 29th, on Friday, that would be a huge disappointment to people. I've seen it before where development teams say they're going to do something, they fail to get it done. For Terrarium, they talked about launching TerraPool on the 4th. They launched it on the 4th. They get this burn done. That's 2 major announcements that they said they were going to do that they got done. The change in the taxes, that was something that came up in the AMA. Somebody asked if there was a way that they could alter the taxes. They got together and discussed it, put it out to the community, and now the taxes are 2% instead of 9%. So I agree with Dr. Budiga here that this is a responsive development team. They're looking at the community. They're taking our suggestions and implementing them. So props to you guys. All right, the last couple of things I'm going to look at here. Artie Price, if you don't know him and you're not following him, you definitely should. He is the director of social media marketing for Terareum, and he always puts out lots of great content every day. But I also look to RD to see who he's following, and somebody who he'll frequently repost is this CryptoGA. CryptoGA, I don't know if you put this together, but this is really great. It's talking about TerraPool, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want the sound to distract, but essentially it's saying that TerraPool is changing the game for fundraising and for Web3 development projects or crypto projects. So in fundraising, a fundraising company might take 10% or 20% of the total raised funds on the platform, and those money then don't flow through to whatever the charity is that needs the money. In TerraPool, we're looking at much lower fees, around 2%, and so it could be a great option. And this CryptoGA, if you guys aren't following him, I've been following this one too for quite a while, actually started today doing spaces on Twitter. So I would follow CryptoGA as well. And I actually reached out to CryptoGA today and just asked if the future spaces could be recorded. And there were 144 people there. That's a pretty successful space. If you're unfamiliar with spaces, they are really cool in that it's like a town hall meeting. So you can actually raise your hand and ask to be a speaker, and you can ask questions directly to whoever the panel is that's running the space. And then, of course, if they don't have an answer, they can run it up the chain to the development team. But that's pretty successful, 144. I've never done a space. I have participated in several. And so CryptoGA, thanks for putting that space together. And I've seen these be very powerful, you guys. Thousands of people in these spaces. And so I think it's a great thing. We'll watch for those in the future. All right. Friends, I'm getting this one a little bit long. Yep. So let me just show you my reflections and I'll call it a day here. In the last 2 days, I have received an additional 174 million Terareum tokens in reflections or rewards. That brings my total since February 21st to 35,661 million. The value of those tokens at the current price is about $60. So, I have to say somewhat selfishly, I like the fact that they kept a little bit in reflections there. It's just a reward that you get for holding, and it gives you something every day to kind of look at that shows you that in some way you're moving in the right direction. If there's downward pressure on the price, at least your bag's increasing, and if the price turns around, you've got more tokens that will add value to your total portfolio here in the end. All right, friends, thanks for joining me. Sorry for being a little long-winded today. Have a great night. Check back with me soon. We'll watch our crypto stacks grow together.